the reality is in things like that, you could lose it all. In like trading, for example, you could say, I'm going to go and turn 5K into $1 million. Could happen. Likelihood is you're going to be one of the statistics where it doesn't happen. With this, if you can follow a proven route, like we've laid out from the years of mistakes that we've both made, you can get up and running in a very sequential, very step-by-step way within 6 weeks.
We obviously have a specific business model that we would suggest to turn 5,000 into 500,000. And that is the way that we go, which is high ticket dropshipping. So Lewis, could you give us a little bit about high ticket dropshipping? What is it and why do we use it?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked that question. I was asked the exact question yesterday on a flight back from Dubai. I was sitting next to this lovely guy and he was like really interested in business and was chatting to me. He was like, what do you do? And so I was asked this exact question. I was like, oh, well, we run dropshipping businesses. And he was like, okay, how does that work? What happens? So I'll try and give you the answer that I gave to him. So imagine you are the retailer. You have the storefront. You have a website. You partner with suppliers in the UK market on that website to list their products digitally. So you're not buying stock from them, you're just digitally listing their product as items on your website. So let's say I'm selling barbecues, it's lewis'sbarbecues.com, and I've partnered with a load of barbecue brands in the UK. Those brands don't sell directly to customers. They sell through retailers like me. Some retailers have physical shop fronts, others don't. I'm one of the ones that doesn't because I like to run my business totally remotely from a laptop from anywhere in the world without huge overheads. And we typically advise with our home turf advantage model that you're selling products upwards of, we say minimum about £300 per product, but usually we'd advise a lot higher. So up to like 6, 7, 8, 9, over £1,000, over £2,000 per product is great. Now you're accepting the money from a customer. So say, for example, a customer goes to your store, we run ads, Google ads, Facebook ads to the store, and the customer purchases the product from you for £2,000. You might pay your supplier, say, £1,200 or £1,300 in trade costs. So you then pass some of that money on that the customer gave you to your supplier. Say to the supplier, we've had a new order, please send it out. They send the barbecue out to the customer and you keep the £600 or £700 or £800 in profit, which is the difference. That's your margin, right? So we're online only. We can run the whole thing from just a laptop, and it's a great, highly leveraged, location independent business that once you have it up and running and you have systems in place, it can be very, very passive for the business owner once you have the right systems and team in place.
So specifically this high ticket dropshipping model that we've obviously come across and now are fully involved in, why do you think it's the most profitable way to go compared to other online business models?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's all about risk and return, right? So yes, you could probably go and risk your money in a much higher potential return market, but then the reality is in things like that, you could lose it all. In like trading, for example, you could say, I'm going to go and turn 5K into $1 million. Could happen. Likelihood is you're going to be one of the statistics where it doesn't happen. With this, if you can follow a proven route, like we've laid out from the years of mistakes that we've both made, you can get up and running in a very sequential, very step-by-step way within 6 weeks, right? So we kind of guide you through it inside our program. But yeah, I mean, the example I just used, if you make a sale at £2,000 one day and say you net, I don't know, £700-800 in profit on that sale, well, you've made in a day, in one sale, what you'd probably make in a whole month renting out a property and having put, like we said in the last example, maybe 100 grand down, and that's a pretty good yield, right? Now imagine if you had 5, 6, 7 sales per day on your store, so that £800 or 6, 7, £800, whatever your margins are, multiplied by 5, 6, 7 sales per day, you can see how that starts to add up into a huge amount of profit very quickly for very low startup costs, right? Because you didn't put huge amounts of money in. We started with 5K. So you can make £5,000 go a very long way if you just take a proven route. You don't try and reinvent the wheel. You don't go and try to go too big too soon. You just follow a step-by-step proven model, and you have enough patience and delayed gratification. You can absolutely get there.
Absolutely. I think one of the key points as well is that making 5, 6 or 7 sales per day, I mean, you can just imagine, can't you? That's very manageable to look after in terms of the admin that's required and the orders and getting those actually customers served and making sure that they're looked after with the whole order process is very manageable. But when you're selling products at £2,000 per product, and 2,000 times 5 sales a day is £10,000 a day that you can do with only the admin of looking after 5 customers. So quickly you can start to see why we fell in love with this business model. So how does it compare to the other business models that are out there. So the other choices that people have when they want to invest their £5,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to go through all of the options and the alternatives that are available. I mean, we'd already talked about things like trading. You know, if you're going to try and trade, you've got to be willing to lose a lot of money quite quickly. It's probably not the option for you if you are conscious about risk and you don't want to just lose the money. If you have 5k and you think, take it or leave it, it doesn't matter if it goes, then maybe have a go. But for me, that wasn't an option when I first started. I think if you've set your heart on a business like this, the other obvious one is Amazon FBA. So that's fulfilled by Amazon. That's where you buy stock in, usually from abroad, from China, for example. You put it in a shipping container, you buy it from a factory, you have it sent into an Amazon distribution center, and then they send it out when you make sales. Now, the issue is that it's high risk. You're putting down a lot of money up front. You're risking money again on products that may not be popular or may not sell, or you may just get undercut when they go live. There could be huge long delivery times to actually get the products to Amazon. So you've got money tied up for a long time. There might be issues with the items when they arrive. And when you do sell it, Amazon take a huge cut on every sale that you make. So you're really losing your margin. So again, that's a difficult one to recommend when we know how high ticket dropshipping works. I think the other, we talked about flipping properties. If you're thinking I'm going to buy somewhere, do it up, sell it on, it's a lot more risk and it does require more than 5k usually to enter, unless you're going to be very highly leveraged, in which case, again, you're exposing yourself to a huge amount of risk. I just think high ticket dropshipping is one of the best ways to quickly and reliably turn £5,000 into £500,000 in sales due to its high average order value, but also it's the ability to generate those types of high numbers quickly. As I said, you're in control of things. Like you've experienced this as well, haven't you, James, where you start scaling up ads and you say, okay, now it's 5 sales, now it's 6 sales, now it's 7 sales. But as you said, it doesn't create a huge amount more work to get the business to that point, right?
Exactly that. Yeah. So actually, I've done low ticket as well before this, and that is another option for people when they want to put £5,000. Again, it's drop shipping, so it's low startup costs. But what I noticed was making a sale for £30 is the exact same amount of effort involved to making a sale for £3,000. You still have to set up your marketing campaigns, you still create your website, and you still run your ads. It's just that when you make the sale for £3,000, you're making 100 times the profit or 10 times the profit of when you're making a £30 sale. So it's huge. And the difference is really having your life back, essentially, because you don't have to fulfill 100 orders a day compared to just 5 or 6 and still making the same returns. And so we'll go back in time then for when we were first starting. And how did you start with around the £5,000 mark? How did you get started in high ticket dropshipping with that figure?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that I always do is I say, okay, who's already succeeding at this? Where can I learn the most applicable, relevant lessons and fast forward years of trial and error, but also save tens of thousands of pounds in wasted cost on trial and error? So the first thing I do is look for training, mentorship, a program like ours to guide us step by step through how to actually do that and get that up and running. Now, in terms of costs, the first thing I'd probably do is register a company at Companies House. I think that costs about £12. Set up a Shopify store. I think that's like £25, £29 a month, something like that. So not a huge, I think they actually give you a free, I think it's a £1 trial for 3 months. If you head over to dropshipunlocked.com/Shopify, I think you can get access to that. But yeah, it's basically like, see what you think. Try it for £1 for 3 months and see what you think. Don't even have to continue with it if it's not a system that you want to use, but it's what we build all of our stores on, and it's the leading e-commerce platform. So it's definitely the one we would recommend. I'd get a domain name. So, lewis'sbarbecues.com, for example, I'd get the website name. It's probably about £10 a year, something like that. We use Google Workspace for like email hosting and file hosting and like kind of running our teams within. So that's like the digital ecosystem that we run our companies in. That's £9 per month. Like you can see, these are not big figures. We're not talking about thousands of pounds on leasing commercial premises and stuff like that. And then I'd say, yeah, those are kind of the main things. I don't know if you can think of any others, James, that would be required to get up and running.
Yeah, they're the main ones. They're probably the absolutely essentials to get started really with a business is that. And we've probably not got to about £60 yet. Other things you can do as well, you would perhaps create a logo and get your branding together. You can do that yourself cheaply if you just sign up to a service like Canva, which is about £11 a month. And you can do your own branding, choose your own colours for your brand, create your own logo. Or you could go to a service like Fiverr or Upwork, find a branding expert and get them to create a logo for you. There's also AI technology now that will create logos for you, and that would be probably even lower cost. But if you use a freelancer on Fiverr, about £40, and you probably expect them to create logos for you and give you a feel for your brand that you can then put across Shopify and everywhere else. So with all that total, you've got your brand, you've got your website, your custom domain, you've got your company's house registration set up, and you've got your Shopify store and your Google Workspace email. We're probably looking at about £100 to get a business started, and you can create a very professional looking website that you can generate sales through for just £100. Now, the first point you mentioned is keeping your cost as low as possible is actually to invest in training. So for me, when I first started, I wasted a ton of money, more than I'd like to admit, really, trying to work this out for myself in low ticket dropshipping. And I realized that actually, if I want to save money, if I invest in training and go through a process that's been proven, I'd end up saving money in the long run, because I can learn from other people's mistakes and learn from where they've essentially wasted money without me having to do the same.